Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sonic Talk episode. Well, it's not. It's a Superbooth at home episode, so it doesn't really have a number. And I've just realised the titles have gone really crappy because I didn't do the text layout properly. But hey, it doesn't matter. This is all, we're all seat of the pants stuff. This is kind of, we brought together some of YouTube's finest contributors just to have a chat today for this special episode to celebrate the Superbooth home edition, because we would have been all in Berlin drinking beer by now, flat on our backs. We don't work at all when we're in Berlin. We're just messing about. No, that's not true. It's not true. We got some of the hardest working people from YouTube. There are others, but I can only have 3 guests at a time. So let's say hello to everybody. Let's start over here with Mr. BoBeats, BoBeats TV. Everybody knows Bo. How are you, Bo?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and I'm fine. I'm here in Sweden. It's pretty okay over here still, and yeah, feeling like I miss Superbooth, but I've also had a good time meeting people over on Heinbach's stream, and now I'm here with you, so it's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I started using the phrase "the new normal" about 3 weeks ago, and it seems to be what people, this is what we're living in essentially. So yeah, well, good to have you, Bo, and we'll also say hello to Mr. Robin Vincent, Molten Music Technology. We've only met a couple of times in person. How are you?
We have, good. I've been enjoying the rolling coverage, the bouncing live streams, the potential of Zoom and everything else that's been knocking around. It's been a fantastically intense few days, I think.
Yeah, well, that few days and the rest. I mean, the thing is because Superbooth said, okay, we're not doing it at this point. We all had 2.5 weeks basically to kind of go, yes. What are we going to do? I mean, we kind of saw it coming a little bit, so started to kind of get things geared up, but it's still a lot of work. But fun times, isn't it, Ben? Mr. DivKid Video, who's he's the veteran of this campaign. You've been with, how many hours have you streamed with Heinbach in the last 72 hours?
Well, including privately, more than a day. The first one was short of 7 hours, and then around 8 for each. Joined by Herr Schneider himself last night, which is a nice way to kind of round off the stream. But yeah, Heimbach kind of sprang into action trying to capture the chaos of the actual day and went for 3 long streams that I joined, which went really well. But yeah, living through this new norm, weird time we're in.
It's funny, isn't it? It's kind of because, as I was saying before we started the show, everybody says, okay, what have you seen that you like? But actually, most of us have been in it. So I've shot loads of video with people, but quite a lot of the video I haven't actually seen what they're showing at the other end because the technical limitations. I've just seen a talking head and go, okay, you're demoing it, and I'm going, yeah, sounds great. I can't hear anything, So in many ways, I'm even more clueless than I usually am when it comes to these things. So I'm guessing for you, Ben, it must be kind of similar technical ground, because you've been online the whole time, so you haven't necessarily been able to watch other people's output, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've seen the live chat in these long streams we've been doing saying, hey, this has just launched. And as you do, and I'm sure Bo and Robin as well, we're aware of things that are happening because of the work that we do. So that initial kind of, so the excitement is gone, but that initial kind of buzz reaction of seeing something is often weeks behind if you're aware of what was coming. Yeah. And, we bump into each other at Superbooth, and it's people always say, and people at the show, hey, what should I go check out? What's the hot new thing? And I'm just in video blur. The blinkers are up, and I'm like, I've done 30 videos today. I don't know.
Yeah. I know.
Just kind of look at each other, and occasionally something sticks like, hey, they were really good to go interview, go see them. But yeah, in a complete blur, I'll have to digest it.
Yeah.
I think that you said it very well, Ben, also on Heinbach's stream, that when we are at Superbooth, it's not like we have a lot of time together. We say, hey, what's up, Ben? What you doing? Have you filmed anything cool? And then, you're off again to meet some manufacturer or film something or shoot something. And in a sense, we've had more time together. I mean, I definitely had more time together with you on the stream, like quality time, than I would on the show. So I think that's a strength anyway of the online format, which is kind of cool.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, that's a very good point. And this, because normally, like say Ben, normally it's like we just kind of go, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I can't stop, got to go. That's it. So.
Exactly. This hour will be a kind of quality hour, as it were, for us all to discuss things that we just wouldn't have. You may catch a few minutes with a coffee, but
Careful. You're trailing quality content in the content itself. That is just almost suicidal, mate. But I would like to say hello to all of the people in the chat room. I managed to do promote this a little bit. So there are, we got a few people watching. That's all right. Over 100. Normally, that's not too bad. So, and we are in the IRC chat room. But actually, what we should first do is say, okay, Bo, we should check BoBeats.tv, your YouTube channel. That's where you've got stuff, because you quite often get things in advance. Have you been doing much live streaming for your own thing, or have you just been preparing videos that you've got of gear in to begin with?
So I had an idea of doing something online for sometime during this quarantine. So I've been live streaming basically my own stuff, my music making process a little bit, just to get out of some kind of rut, because everything was canceled and it's affected me more than I anticipated. But in terms of like doing like gear coverage for Superbooth Stay at Home, I actually I opted not to go that route, and instead I'll focus on covering stuff on the channel as usual. In May, I have a lot of stuff that I want to do in May, particularly some secret cool stuff.
Saving it.
Yeah, sort of. But I'm also taking the time to figure out what I want to do in terms of like live streaming, just like everybody else. It's something that's on my mind. How to I mean, it has been brought to the forefront much more now because of what's going on with the pandemic. But I think using the live streaming format is really fun and interesting. And I've always been doing it with my channel, but I haven't found a format that really has worked for me. So I'm working on something. And I hope to bring in manufacturers and brands on that in the future, and people I want to interview and stuff like that. But I felt like now wasn't the time, I felt like there was plenty enough people doing great coverage. Heimbach, you guys over at Sonicstate, Synth Anatomy, to name a few that were, and of course, Molten Modular, Robin here, and Gear News. So there were a lot of coverage going on. So I kind of opted to go a different route.
Yeah, so Robin, I mean, you famously, I mean, you do a lot of the writing on Gear News, don't you? So you've got, I mean, I know that takes a lot of time, and especially around showtime. So you must be thrashed.
Definitely. I mean, usually at a show, content created by yourself and Ben and people like that, I'm scanning the whole time, finding a little clip of something, writing about it, and pretending that it's mine. That's my general that's way of doing things.
That's what we all do.
Yeah,
those of us that run websites, anyway, with news.
yeah. You just want to get it out there. So, but it's been different this time around. I mean, one of the things I've noticed is how linear everything is. So normally, I mean, if you're at the show, you're bouncing from one stand to another, from one booth to another. This looks nice. Oh, I can't get to play on that. Oh, I'm going to have a look at this. Oh, I'm going to have a twiddle with that. Whereas, now everything is in a very long, slow line. You've got a half an hour feature on this, followed by another half an hour feature on another product. And so the speed is very, very different in how we gather this content together. So in order to write just like a little article for Gear News, I've had to watch like half an hour of a video, which is very unusual, just to try to tease out the little bits of information. Because a lot of the manufacturers also don't have a press release, or they don't have a web page ready for these bits and pieces yet either. So it's a very different feel.
I just want to jump in here with something that Robin said, because I think that in some ways this online format lends itself very, very well to these kind of demos that we are doing from the show floor. We've been joking before the stream about like there's not the techno going boom boom all the time, and our ears aren't dead and we're not rushing between booths. So beside all the technical problems and technical issues that we can have with a live format or an online format, there's a lot of things that this format lends itself very well, I think. Like demoing synths and demoing music equipment, it's not an ideal situation on a show floor in a sense. And I've seen a lot of people being super happy about being able to ask comments, You have more time. It's more relaxed. So while it's sad that we're not at Superbooth, from the content I've seen on Robin's channel and on each and every one of yours, I think that there's a lot of good stuff coming out.
I would agree. I would say the only thing that you don't get a sense of is the energy, and also there's a certain amount of brevity which comes from the Superbooth experience. You get the stuff quick, like you say, Robin, you get to the stuff quicker because you just kind of can't spend an hour with somebody because you've got 4 appointments in an hour, or whatever it is. You've got to fit it all in. So, there's a different energy, and also it's but yes, it's a different thing.
I mean, all my chats that I've done so far have all run into 2 hours. I mean, it's nuts, really.
Yeah.
But just sitting there talking to somebody to that level of detail about whatever it is we're talking about, but that would be unheard of at any kind of show environment.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I suppose the other thing is also there are a lot of people with ADHD out there who can't handle long format and they just want it all basically really short, Ben. I go to you, Ben, who's just done 24 hours online streaming. Because I was looking at I was looking at the Superbooth one, and the Superbooth one's got loads of great stuff in it, but because it's not been annotated in a way that where it is, and I bump in and there was a really great artist, an Indian lady doing modular stuff and singing in this big tunnel, and I couldn't find out what her name was because I had to try and find where it was, and so there are difficulties with really long formats. So everybody sort of learns, and that's the thing I find with Sonic Talk. People go, "Where's the show notes?" It's like, I've just spent 3 hours preparing, recording, and uploading the thing. Now I'm not going to write the notes. You used to have people who would just write them in the comments, and I would say thanks very much with the timing to put in, but I have to wait till the next day because I just, at the end, I finished Sonic Talk at 5-6 o'clock, and then I don't really want to spend another hour doing the show notes. So, it's these are the things. These are anyway. I suppose we should probably talk about gear, but I mean, Ben, you've been doing some live stream, been a great resource on your site about the isolation streams and all that stuff, which everybody should check out as well.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick note on the indexing. I just done that for the 3 days of Heimbach streams. They will be added into the video descriptions and hopefully be pinned as a top comment. But that wasn't too bad because I knew they were all at 30-minute intervals. Some of the Superbooth videos I saw were like a 4-hour video upload, and I'm having to scan through and find things. And you're taking such big jumps when you jump through that timeline on the video player, you're missing things. So I've not had time to get to that. But yeah, the live streams, I set up the isolation streams page on my site to try and build a community resource effectively and update the things that friends are doing and friends of friends. There's been a lot of people reach out for me to share things, and it's getting a little bit wild to handle, completely unrelated stream of vague connection to what it's about. So I'm having to somewhat moderate and curate that list. But it is, anyone on here has been on there, everybody streams, and trying to pull the community together. I do feel like the community has really come out in force. And I noticed that a couple of weeks ago on Sonic Talk, I think you had quite a bump in viewers. Obviously, people are at home. They're not at work because they may
a lot more live
be.
viewers,
Yeah. I mean, I imagine it levels out maybe anyway for normal views, but live, the audiences have been so many familiar faces. There's a lot in the YouTube live chat now that were on the Heimbach streams, I've seen in Robin streams. And I think that's really what's spurring all this on. I think this week is maybe a bit overdone for me. I need a few days of now not streaming.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I mean, it's like after Superbooth, when you're on the plane home and people want to talk about synthesizers, it's like, I don't want to talk about synthesizers anymore. Can we just talk about something else for a bit? I mean, not that I don't love them, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the live streams themselves. I mean, it's like someone was saying, it's like TV and the kind of old days of TV of just skipping through channels. There's certain things being on and not always being able to watch everything back at exactly at the right time and skipping forward to what you want. But also, interestingly, a friend, Kyle Swisher over in the States, said to me that he said, this is what it's like when we're not at Superbooth. He goes, other than these long streams that Heimbach's doing and Robin and then Bo's music making process that's happened, just before this Superbooth things this week. He said, that's what it's like for us anyway, that can't come. And certainly your model, Nick, of getting videos produced and uploaded, it's maybe not as fast paced as at the event where you've a team of people. I think you did over 100 videos last year at Superbooth.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's a similar experience for them, and I thought, well, that's a really nice thing that it's not that different for those that couldn't attend the event.
Yeah.
Maybe with the increased bonus of the live chat in the longer form streams and chats like this.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree, and I think it's a new thing. I suppose, seeing as we're kind of talking about the mechanics of it and everything. I mean, it's my fault. I'm the MC, I suppose. But now I suppose we should talk about equipment. So now, after saying all of that stuff, nobody remembers what on earth they've been doing. I mean, I suppose the thing is, what's been the highlight for everybody so far? I'll go first, just purely because I think. It's only fair, and it gives you time to think about it now, and we didn't actually arrange any of these topics prior to this. So for me, and it hasn't gone out yet, I think it goes out at 6 o'clock today, we did a sort of remote studio tour with the Udio audio guys. George Hearn just basically filmed around his studio, their workshops, and said, "Oh, this is what's going on. This is where we assemble stuff." And they've got loads of the Super Sixes there starting to come together. But he also went to his rack of synths that he's built since he was a kid. So he's got 3 like very big and just one-off interesting synthesizers which he plays. And then he does a demo of the Super 6 at the end. It's a really long stream, but it was really interesting. And that was the most fun for me to do. It's not necessarily product-based. I mean, I suppose product-based, I would probably go for... I don't know. I'm going to go over to Robin. Just because
no,
I could just surprise him.
On the spot.
Yeah, why not? Then I could think about it. Highlight. Well, what about highlight? Highlight could be any of those.
Highlights.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a few products that have stuck in my mind. One of them, particularly the Bastille Instruments MIDI looper.
Yes.
I quite like that. I like the idea. I like the immediacy of it. I like the fact, because we again, it's trying to stop us going back into the computer. Perhaps, I don't know. At least that's my take on it. Because as soon as I introduce MIDI and sequencing, I get dragged back into making loops and and fiddling around with a mouse, which I try to avoid doing if I can. And the MIDI looper sort of does that. It's a box. I can stick it down. I can plug a keyboard in, and it just hit a button and you make a loop. Hit a button and you overdub, or create another loop on another thing. And it's very organic, very natural, and you can trigger it from your modular, so you're staying all the time focused on your hardware, and that appeals to me greatly.
Yeah, I think that we did a video with them. Actually, I think it goes live today. But I know Tom Weiss of Synth Anatomy, who was going to come on the show, but we can only get 3 guests, and it's first come, first served. So I'm sorry, Tom, and anybody else who wanted to come on. We're also going to get Corey. I was going to do 2 of these, I should say, but I just thought I haven't got the energy to do another one. It's just sort of not
quite understandable.
Yeah. What about you then, Bo? What's your?
So there were a lot of cool things. I thought that the liquid foam from Herbs and Stones was really interesting. This kind of, they say on their page, modular monophonic analog groove box, dual sequencer. But yeah, what caught my ear was maybe the kind of 303-ish kind of sound that they were getting out of it. But it's like a totally different interface from it, and you can do very interesting rhythms. I think that you showcased it on Heinbacher's channel, right, Ben?
Yeah, we had them on, and it's, as you say, there's a squelch to the resonance that is very 303 like. I'd not actually thought of it that way, because the sequencing is so different, but tonally you're right, it's got that characteristic kind of wet resonant squelch. I don't know if better descriptor than that, but a very different interface. I mean, it's like swearing in the church, but for me, like the 303 has never been interesting.
I agree.
But
I agree.
Thank you. I don't feel so alone. But honestly, like seeing that kind of interface, that kind of sound, made. What
was it called again? Have we got a link to that here on the web pages? Is it what was it called again? Sorry, did you say it was?
It's
liquid foam.
Liquid foam. Let me see. I think I did.
Top link on
it's
the
made by
email,
Herbs and Stones.
Yes, I thought. Here we go. This thing here. Sorry, I'm a terrible producer today, but hey. There we go. Yeah. So it's a little. That does look interesting. Liquid foam.
It does look better than that in the flesh, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is that. I think this is what they call an artist's render, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to
more
check
of
that
a
one out.
I think it does look kind of a little bit bare bones when you see.
Okay. Well, look, let's have a
videos.
listen. Let's have a listen to a bit because there's actually a bit of. I can. Oh God, it's SoundCloud. I bloody hate SoundCloud. There's another thing I hate. Rubbish.
So do I.
Let's see what this does. Okay, let's have a little listen to it. It's got banana. Is that Banana Jacks?
Yeah.
Hail the banana. Yes, it does.
Let's go a bit further in there. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yep, I would concur. That's quite 303 like. Yes, I mean, but it's got that. Yeah, it's got a real quack to it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about novel interfaces that interests me. It just seemed like you could do some fun stuff with it. I'm not entirely sure if I got one, what I would use it for. But sometimes it's not about that. It's more about the process. It's figuring stuff out, having fun with it, and that definitely ticks that box for me.
Excellent.
He had some interesting stuff coming along as well. He's got a Eurorack version of that, apparently, or some form of that. There was a stereo multimode filter in a box in a similar shape he talked about, and a complex, with its own sequencer and a complex LFO, something he calls a drummer friend for the liquid foam as well. So he's got a lot of stuff bubbling away behind that's going to be emerging soon, which all sounds pretty exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah, you mentioned stereo filters. If we can hail and name Superbooth 2020 as the year of the stereo filter, that was the running theme. I don't know what it was last year, but going back, certainly in Eurorack, outside of modular, maybe slightly different, but the performance mixer was a thing one year. Everyone had panable, much larger channel count, kind of performable modular mixers. And then prior to that, or just after, again, forget the order, was the sampler. All of a sudden there was sample players, granular engines. It's funny how kind of we move in waves as a collective hive mind. And I'm sure they're not all talking to each other because there's a lot of competing products, but it's definitely the year of the stereo filter.
Yeah, I've had. Was it Super Critical?
Yeah, it's not as. Sorry.
They've been teasing one, yeah. Instagram teaser is all I've seen for that.
I filmed one with them, I think, in that case. But I don't know when it's out, maybe today. But yeah, you're right. I've done at least 3, I would say.
Yeah, not as sexy as last year.
No.
We had the
what was the theme
Pulsar,
last
Super
year?
6.
Pulsar. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the running
you just
theme,
placed a
was it?
pre-order on that one.
No,
so.
the running theme. Yeah, I suppose the running theme would be different. I can't even remember that far back. That's the problem. It's like my short-term memory's gone, and so is my long-term memory. So now I'm almost completely memoryless. Okay, Ben. So that was a sort of general trend. What else? What else for you that stood out?
There was, on the note of stereo filters, there were a few that stood out, and all nice, different artistic approaches to these. But the dual dagger from Shackmat Modular, that's up in my browser if you've got that to share.
Is that this guy?
There it is, yeah. The one on the right there. So it's a dual stereo filter, but it's really a quad filter or 2 stereo filters. It's low pass into high pass. There's also some panning, CV over everything. It still looks playable, but not that big. And I thought it's a really nice kind of output stage to kind of go in and cut into things, top end, bottom end. An interesting band pass mode where you're playing around with band widths. And we spoke about this on one of the Heimbach streams. And as Robin said, we had the benefit of 30 minutes to dig into these things. So it's maybe not the kind of snappy, quick news people expect, but a nicer, spread out conversation where information is dotted around, I guess. But that one really stood out. As did next to it, the Bard Quartet Programmable Quad Quantizer.
No, that's not. That's actually next to it, as in
page,
on the same page. Pay attention.
Yeah, there we go.
Pay attention, for God's sake.
They were building in, for people that want to, there's been a lot of talk about microtonal music recently, and certainly when the Novation base station went microtonal, that seemed to build a lot of excitement. I don't always hear it being musically explored. It seems to be a feature people want more than they actually use, potentially. But in here, you can go in and detune individual notes, really kind of go in and completely shape the whole thing. I thought it was interesting. And quad quantizers, I mean, you'd need 4 voices for it to be relevant, but they're slightly lacking in the modular form.
Well,
it's been
interesting. We did a show with Ian Body yesterday, and he uses in his Anywhere rack, he uses, which was the second track that he did for us yesterday at 5 o'clock. Incidentally, Scanner, 5 o'clock today, after this. He used the dual U-Tune, I can't remember what it was. It was IntelliGel and dual quantizer, and used that for driving a lot of melodic stuff, and it was really effective, really effective.
Microscale, is that the one? Microscale?
I think it might have been, yeah.
That's it. I know Ian, coming from a Surge kind of mentality, likes to use all these free-running, drifting LFOs, and when that can generate musical information, that's great, kind of rising and falling up and down scale patterns. But the thing the Bard Quartet does really nicely, and maybe the microscale does too, is a trigger in and out, because if it's just the quantizer that's detecting pitch change, it will just kind of stair step up and down the LFO kind of as it sees fit whenever the voltage is right to hit a certain pitch. But being able to tell it when to do it, almost like a sample and hold, right, give me the note, give me the note, give me the note, either by a clock or a key press, it makes these things really musical. And having multiple channels so it can intelligently give you harmony as well, it adds a lot of musicality to a system. I think Ian does that very well, even in that small Anywhere or not going anywhere rack. So he'd called it while we're isolating. Yeah,
well, that's true. But it runs off a little battery. It's got the little poly end power supply in it. Speaking of poly end tonight, 7 o'clock, there's a premiere of the tracker that I shot with Piotr, and they win for the best ever streaming quality remote camera coming in. It looks better than what we've got here. And yet it's coming down. And he was sending over mobile data. I can't believe it. I mean, we did get the video sent in anyway, so we edited from that. But if you want to see the Polyend tracker, that's a 7 p.m. premiere, and they're going to be in the chat room like they are with a bunch of the premieres that we're doing.
Did you have Geranalog on?
We did, yeah. We posted that yesterday.
Because he came on with Heimbach and just hit us with this dual mirrorless camera setup with gorgeous bokeh in the background, amazing depth of field, and I was just like, oh wow, he's taking this seriously. Just visually stunning when he entered the chat. So I wonder if there's a Geranalog Polyend camera battle to be had.
We didn't get he didn't have that when we shot it. He sent us something afterwards. He made the effort. Okay. Maybe he took delivery of what he was expected to get, and we were just a bit too early in the process. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, Robin, any other? Sorry, I was just going to come back to Robin there. So, any other kind of stuff? Because you may not have seen. Have you? Has there been actually much new stuff, or have you had to go out of it? I mean, there's not been a great deal of news. That a lot of the big announcements that we know there were going to be some from some of the major manufacturers. They've put their foot on the brakes.
Not seen anything from the majors. Nothing in a big sort of synth type fashion either. I mean, something that popped up this morning was the 1010 Music Bitbox Micro, a little minier version of their Bitbox. One size fits all digital something or others that they put together. And this is the sampler, new, enhanced, smaller but bigger, deeper. I don't know. That kind of thing. Masses of samples. You can play instruments, 24 notes polyphony, streaming stuff, recording stuff, all on a little tiny touchscreen. Tons of CV going in the control stuff. If that's your bag, then this is a much neater and more compact module than the original. I think that would suit a lot more people.
You know what? That's the other thing that's come up as well. Again, with Ian Body's performance yesterday, just the amount of people that are starting to use samples, because it enables them to recreate the core of a written piece, but in a modular environment, and so they're running sort of stems or little breakouts and things that they can't, like that one. The piece that Ian played yesterday, the bass, honestly, it blew my mind completely. I was like, "Where's that from?" And he said, "Oh, actually, that's from the Surge, and it's a sample coming out of a Distinct Mark IV." So all of these sort of playback devices, the more RAM and the more I think these are going to start becoming really much more to the front, because you can drive an entire show and change songs and have ancillary modular patching around it to be able to recreate something approaching what you did on a record, obviously with the live element. Is that acceptable, do you think, Ben?
Oh, of course, yeah, it all is. I mean, presets, patches, loops, pre-made samples. Yeah, it's all. We can joke. It gets into that meme, doesn't it? Of I didn't like using drum
Doorless
samples,
jamming.
so I synthesized my own. I didn't like using samples, so I got a drum, and then I didn't like someone else's drum head, so I skinned a goat, and it goes on and on and on and on, right back to primitive building of your own drums, like you're in a tribe. But yeah, it's all acceptable, I think. To me, I mean, the musical output is maybe the thing we should judge as opposed to the gear choices. But yeah, things like distings, the new disting is lovely, of course. Lots of Spitfire samples in that I saw, which
I think it comes as standard, doesn't it? You get that on the SD card. Yeah. Oops.
But that we've seen people like Nigel Mulaney will perform, and he does a lot of film composition, and he'll record string quartets, large orchestras for film pieces. And when you bring that in alongside the electronics, even just on a small little sampler triggering a nice string chord tone, but beautifully recorded orchestral chord tones, it really opens the modular format up. So I'm completely all for it. External inputs, samples, like that with Ian. If he can really craft this gorgeous surge bass
Hello
line.
there. Today's an exciting day because Corrigan.
I do beg your pardon there. That was Bo.
It's okay.
I was just trying to do a bit of background research there, so I could flip back to you, Bo, and say what were your? Hold on, I'm going to mute that tab a sec, because then I can look back. That'd be working. I was going to come to you, Bo, because I was just going to. Sorry to cut you off there, Ben. It just seemed to. It was a complete accident.
Okay.
Because you often get a lot of stuff, much to the gnashing of teeth in Sonic offices way before we do, and I just wondered, what did you get just prior? No, it's fine, obviously. What did you get just prior to Superbooth, or that you've put out just beforehand? And that's why I was just checking to see if I could find anything.
I did the Keystep Pro.
That we did a video on that, and because I've got one here, which I haven't had a chance to do anything yet with, but I'll just watch your video and just rephrase everything, I think, perhaps.
Well, I have it here on the table still. So I did the Keystep Pro, which of course, it wasn't a big reveal. It had been out, and then Arturia had even released sort of their own videos first and everything. But that was good fun, just knowing that would come up.
What do you think of it?
Yeah.
What do you think of it? Do you think it's going to have
Do
you think it's going to have the same sort of impact as the BeatStep Pro and the Keystep had? Because you saw it everywhere.
Hard. I think that's very hard. I think it's very difficult to because it's also about like the price tag. So I think it's hard. I think it could, but I think it's a very difficult thing to dethrone your own product successes like that. But it's really good. It's really good, and I just wish that it had more than 4 tracks on it.
Yeah, well, what I liked about it is because you've got the 25. One of the tracks is 4 voice, 25 voice drum track, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That works really well. I think it's really good fun to use. What's really cool about it is that they've made it more. So one thing I was worried about was, would they stay with the kind of simple workflow of and hands-on workflow of the BeatStep Pro and the Keystep, or would adding additional tracks, would that kind of make it more complex in a way that would take away for the performance aspects? And I think that they nailed it. It's very quick. So it's something that I am super annoyed about is if you play something and you get it wrong and you have to delete something. If it's slow or complicated to do those things, it sort of takes away from the whole aspect of like having something physical. Like, why wouldn't I just hit delete in a DAW or something? But frankly, it's very quick. Like shift a button, delete the steps, delete the data, whatever you want. And also, I really need to shout out like the metronome.
The metronome. Yes, finally.
Yes, yes, finally. I mean, I can't play very well, so for me, having the metronome there and the pre-count, it might sound super silly, but it's a huge deal for me. It's a really
not
big
just
thing.
you, everybody can agree with that. I think that's probably one of the biggest game changers of that. I was just going to come to so the Korg Op 6 then. What do you reckon? I was disappointed they didn't just put something out, because if you remember at NAMM there was the 6 operator Korg concept synth that everybody pretended they knew nothing about and just mysteriously arrived on the Korg booth. I know nothing. Wait till Superbooth. They didn't go with it. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, no, we haven't heard hiding a hair of anything from Korg at all. No, not a whisper.
No, I think they're
not even a new Volca, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, what they need is a Volca video, a Volca video switcher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
just
no,
like
they do. Yeah,
a little 3-input video switcher. You know, like a Volca Go Mix. Oops, they can't use that. That's taken, obviously. But yeah,
Volca Stream.
A Volca video.
Volca Stream. Yeah, that's a good one. Volca Video.
Yeah, Volca Video, because video effects are a thing that's bubbling away. That's going to start. Well, it has been encroaching into Eurorack, certainly into other little bits of boxes that fit onto your desk amongst all the other boxes.
Really?
Yeah. No, I think because the Eurorack Performer suffers from a lack of visual, pizzazz, because you're either standing in front of your gear with your back to the audience, or you're just looking down at a table. And there's not a whole lot going on. So being able to go and have stuff going on behind you is definitely something. And because we all like just doing the whole thing ourselves, then,
that's true.
Well,
the only reason I said really is because I remember seeing Eurorack video effects like 10 years ago, and it's certainly been a slow burner. Maybe they should do a Eurorack pyrotechnic module so that we can.
Yes.
What do you think, Ben? That one for your next. You could start speccing it up, get the guys at Instua to knock something up that has some. Maybe I don't know. Just like a Roman candle.
CV flamethrowers.
Why not?
CV pyrotechnic. Yeah, well, we're talking of video, though. If you can head to, I didn't send you the link prior, but sleepycircuits.com. Right, there's a module called the Hypno, which does really bring things together really simply. It's not analog video synthesis, so it's not like LZX or LZX format for those in the States. If you hit shop and click through to Hypno, the module, there is a video, and this is standalone. And what they've really tried to do is exactly what Robin was saying. Because of the lack of visuals, lack of performance element, you're looking at someone hunched over a briefcase or staring at the back of a modular case. CV inputs that work from a normal Eurorack audio system into a kind of more complex integrated digital video synthesis.
Okay, I'm going to play that. All right, let's have a look. Let's see what that. Wow, it's like video toaster.
This is the Hypno by Sleepy Circuits. The Hypno is a great way to get started with video synthesis. It's an all-in-one video system in one small package. The Hypno is kind of like a complex video oscillator. So it has two sides that are mirrored right here. You've got shape 1.
I haven't seen this yet.
And shape 2.
No, it's quite long. And that first sentence had at least 5 edits in it.
The frame, so you get this
there we go.
Really kind of digital, crunchy look.
So it's like 576 lines. It's pretty low res. It's just a composite out.
Think of the camera as zoom sine oscillation. Plug in a square shape on each of the oscillators.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I guess it would work if you could send that out to a projector. I mean, I guess it really needs an HDMI out to be of any use these days, but
it does. Yeah. So it does. So it's not on. I think there is the standard. I forget what it's called for video. The yellow connector with the RCAs that we used to see. Analog video connection.
Composite S video. That's all.
Yeah, composite. Yeah, the composite out. There's a HDMI out, and there's a micro USB out as well.
Yes. Sorry, I see it. Yes, I've got it there. Yes, that's in the standalone version. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So at the moment, very analog video in style, visually quite similar to other video synthesis. It's not, running images and like computer-based kind of visuals, as it were. But an easy way to do it from a single unit, and one that will be modulated in time and reactive to the voltages or audio that you put in.
Do you think do you think that's going to be the Arturia key step of the video the video synthesis market, perhaps. The gateway.
I'm not sure. I mean, I wonder if people will buy that and a projector and a white screen they can maybe pull up behind them for gigs. But I think it's so well integrated, those that are interested will take the leap with this, I think, as opposed to having to bring a laptop out or go the analog video synthesis route, which needs many more modules to do much.
I could throw you another possibility, which is from Critter and Guitari. They've got a Kickstarter out on something called the IZ Video Synthesizer. Give critterandguitari.com.
I'm just looking.
And
I've got it. Here we go.
Yeah, a little
thing.
desktop box, a couple of knobs, some of those wonderful wooden buttons that they do.
There it goes. Ooh. Okay.
And offers other possibilities.
Unmute. Sorry. Whoa. Beg your pardon. This looks like that was Boom Tish, wasn't it there? Okay, it doesn't look like there's actually a shot of what it is. Let me see if I can find another easy video. Oh, there it is.
Hi.
There we go.
This is Izzy.
Oh yeah, HDMI.
Sounds like this.
They do a lot of their stuff's got Pis in it. It's a Raspberry Pi core, isn't it? A lot of their
That's
stuff,
all driven by that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's very programmable. There's a web interface. You can stuff patterns in, take patterns out, save presets, all that kind of thing. And there's some CV control in there, I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. What else have we got? I'm just trying to think of this. I really should have thought about some topics for this. I mean, I'm sure we've got plenty to talk about, but I couldn't really get anything going. I'm just trying to think what else we've got coming up. Like I did plug Robin Rimbo's scanner. Thanks for sorting that out, Ben. I hope the technology's going to work at 5 o'clock. And we've also got. What have you guys got coming up? What's next for you guys? What's the big reveal? What's your next big video, Bo? That you could talk about. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna casually leak something. My wife, she even asked yesterday. She's like, "You're gonna live stream here from this angle tomorrow? Have you tucked everything away?" So, no, but what's coming up? I think I'm doing a little bit of a mini series on my kind of studio setup. I hope to do something about live streaming, because that seems, speaking about video synthesis, this year or this spring will really be, in our community at least, be a lot about video and a lot about live streaming. I feel that's like big themes that are going on right now. So I hope to do like a tutorial on how to set up your streams for music making. That would be really fun to make. In terms of gear that I'm gonna cover, I have the Create. I saw that you did a video on that, Robin. The Create, the Nifty case.
The Nifty bundle, yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I've done that as well. I think
it?
we did that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A fun, sort of fizzy and nasty, kind of, but lovely, all at the same time.
It's here as well,
so
you can have
a
nifty off. Or maybe that sounds a bit too wrong. A nifty off.
A nifty off,
yeah.
But
nifty
interesting
from Ben's expert opinion and from my hobby, more beginner perspective.
I'm going to watch what you all say, though. I like everybody else's angles. We discussed this a little bit on the stream last night, that if I'm going to part with cash, I will watch more than one person's take on things. And I like the different backgrounds people have, the different musical styles they have and experiences. I'm not, I very rarely will watch the first few minutes of something and, throwing crash at the screen to try and buy it immediately. So I like when things do, there's lots of things to digest and different takes on that. But the Nifty bundle is a nice little case, I think, especially for the price.
I think it's a little bit digitally kind of crunky, I suppose, but the utility of it. I had an early one. It was like, I think mine might have even gone to you afterwards, Ben, or somebody, because I only had it for a little while and then I had to go off. There was only a couple of them sort of over here. So I think mine went off. I can't remember when I did it. I think it was around about NAMM time. I forget now. It seems like such a long time ago. But it's all right. It's actually, good value, really good value.
Yeah, the case has MIDI to CV integrated, which is useful. And the modules I really see as a bonus. Even if you took those out of the bundle price, it's still not a bad way to get into it. And something that makes noise, it's really crunchy, lo-fi, low-res digital, but interesting. And I think the sequencer is an interesting little design too. Those kind of cells that you can address in two directions. Can be a fun little way to get things going.
Yeah, I think that the big question for me is like how how affordable is it for somebody starting out? So that's something I wanna explore a bit more, because I have a lot of questions of like what case to start with, and you know, and I was glad to hear, I spoke to you, Ben, about it, like the fact that even if it's a smaller case, you know, it still seems to be able to power quite a lot of modules. So yeah, and so yeah, it seems like it could be an ideal case for somebody starting out. So that's what I'm gonna explore the coming weeks, I think. And yeah, I also I told Ben about this, and we talked about it on Heinbach stream as well. I did this isolation depression purchase of a Pulsar 23. So I'm hoping that will show up.
Yeah, I've got one over. You can't see it, it's behind the screen. I honestly can't wait. I mean, this is one of the downsides of Superbooth taking up all the time. I've not been able. I started to say I'm going to be reviewing this, and I thought there's just no way I'm going to review anything during this period. I haven't got the time. But I can honestly say it's one of the most interesting and inspiring pieces of equipment I think I've ever looked at. It's amazing. Really, really kind of mind-blowing.
Your first little jam on it, Nick, was really, really good. It was just stunning. It's like, what on earth sort of sound is this? It's just
I hadn't figured out how to work it. Now I know how to work it. They'll probably just get progressively worse. But I mean, there's just so many ways to do random things. There's basically a sample and hold system in there, which has this kind of register shifting, which you take. And so you can actually record the random voltages from a control input. So I was using it to run this sort of sequence, which affected both the rhythm and the notes. Or maybe it's just the rhythm and the filter, but it was on sample and hold. So you'd play a sequence of notes in, and then this other thing would just completely modify the rhythm of that. And that was just done by tapping on the key step modulation wheel, because it would just be like nothing, a couple of volts, you know, whatever. And it was just, and so you can completely reconfigure it on the fly. And that's just one little module that was like, what does that do? And it's like, it does a load of stuff that you wouldn't even thought of. It's really clever.
Yeah, I felt like in these crazy times, I was like, I think a lot of us, I think it's a very like human reaction to the chaos that's around us, that people purchase things. Of course, we've seen the toilet paper memes, but for me, it was like, I had this urge to buy something. I don't know why. I guess, you know, I'm human like everybody else, and I felt like, yeah, this is definitely like one of the pieces that I didn't demo it myself. I had Vlad demo it for me at Superbooth last year, and it just it stayed with me, that feeling of it. And I have the lyra as well here, which is really cool. And I remember, like we talked earlier about how demoing stuff on the show floor isn't always ideal. But I mean, just the fact that I could go to him at Superbooth, he demoed it, and you know, the stuff he came up with on the fly was like really good, really good.
I mean, I have to say, I think in terms of synth designers, and Vlad is a true Jedi. There's something about what he does that is just. Even, you know, I don't know how he does it, but it's all, everything just seems kind of right. I mean, the lyra was very special, but this is really the sweet, because it embraces standards as well, which is quite handy. Whereas the lyra sounds lovely, but it's almost completely impossible to integrate with anything else because it has no.
Yeah, and it's a drum machine, so it's usable. You can sample it. You can do rhythms with it. You can do, you know, you can even do like bassline stuff with it and stuff. So you can do a ton of things which are very usable in different scenarios. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I would totally go. That's an interesting one. What about you, Robin? What's next for you? What's your kind of next big landmark release, or, you know, next on the horizon or in the diary?
Well, I'm still churning away with these chats, this system of chats that I started up. I thought I'd do a couple, and it seems to have turned into about 3 weeks of solid interviews. So I've got tomorrow night Mark Doty, synth historian and sort of dude, I suppose. And then Monday night I've got Helen Lee, she's a fascinating hacker of hardware. She does, like, she's made stuff for Imogen Heap. She does glove type MIDI controllers and builds synthesizers into clothes and does sculpting with circuits and stuff. So she's very fascinating. I've got a guy called Matt Colville, who's a big dungeon master, funny enough, but also a modular enthusiast. And we're going to talk about...
hold on, rewind. Dungeon master as in GIMP or as in Dungeons and Dragons?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
He's a master of the game. Yes, no, that's fine. Although I don't know him that deeply yet, so we may find these things out. But he's got a big interest in modular, and we thought we'd talk about getting started in stuff. And he does a lot of modular performances on his Twitch channel and things like that. So that's all cool. I've got people like This Is Not Rocket Science. I've got Panic Girl. I've got Stefano from Bastille. So lots of that at the moment, which is great. It's been a fun and fantastic way to talk to people and to get to know people and to find out stuff, in a very casual, laid back, informal, lots of beer kind of way.
That sounds great. Do you research, or do you just kind of let it flow naturally? How do you put those sort of things together? I'm curious. I'm asking for a friend.
Yes, no, of course. I would like to say that I do lots of research, but purely the workload at the moment I've just kind of been crashing into it. But it's been nice. I mean, people don't mind being asked, so who are you or what you do? That seems to be okay. And I'm assuming, of course, that the people watching have no idea who these people are. So it's good to
discover them together.
Exactly.
With your audience. Well, I think that's a good as way as any of doing stuff. I think I'm very much. I mean, like this show, zero kind of real format. The only format is it's sort of Sonic Talk, in which case it's got an intro and it's got an outro, but the stuff and everybody gets a lower third. That's about as much prep as I got. What about you, Ben?
Digging into some of the modules, I was testing the new disting for a while. Now that's announced, I can share some things with that. And knowing how Oz has updated the disting Mark IV over time, I'm sure that will just continue to grow and do every single possible function we can think of musically or technically in any kind of system, never mind a modular system. But the Wrong Electronics modules just turned up while I was streaming the other day. Parallax and Vertex, stereo filter and stereo VCA. And Morgan's someone who interestingly has been pushing this idea of stereo for a long time. He had a mid-side configurable module called the LRMSMSLR. So it breaks a stereo signal into a mid-side signal, brings them back, and then gives you stereo back out again. But what that allowed you to do was, because a mid signal is the sum of the left and the right, they're just mixed together onto one source, and the side is the difference. It's one signal minus the other, kind of phase inverting the other away from itself. So you could use a mono processor on the side signal that would then sum back to stereo when it goes back through the matrix. So instantly I was like, I don't need two of that delay for it to be stereo, because most effects tend to be mono in modular, although that's changing. And then his soundstage was a really interesting 3D mixing environment where it mixed the idea of filtering that you would get. If someone's playing at the back of the stage, they're not as bright and present as someone that's right up against your face. So it kind of built a 3D soundstage, which is very lovely.
That's I think.
Yeah, very simple. Stereo in, you can break the mid out, then the side out, then you bring the mid or the side back in, and you get the left and right back out. So it meant you could take a mono spring reverb and it would appear on the sides of your stereo signal, which is very interesting. You could also modulate stereo width, because if you patch the side into a VCA and just let something raise the VCA level, you've effectively got CV over pan. It kind of does this as you're listening to it, which was fascinating for that. And this was really early on. This isn't a new module, but since then, as I say, Parallax and Vertex, which is up on Gear News. I don't know if you've got the page to hand. But stereo filter with tilt controls. So this idea, if you want your stereo image to be tonally different, you kind of tilt the presence as opposed to the level that you would with pan. Lots of very nice tricks in there. And some other modules too, some Bafako bits. Per Call is releasing, that was shown last year. So for me, there we go. Stereo filter on the left, stereo VCA on the right. And just giving you control over everything. Of course, frequency, resonance, standard filter things, but you can skew how resonant the left or the right sides are. So maybe that's how you build a stereo image, by one side being more resonant than the other. And the frequencies can be tilted as well. You could patch, outputs back into itself to get much steeper cutoff curves. All really responsive. All of Morgan's things really respond very well through a wide range. And same with the VCA, you could kind of stereo tilt what's going on through it. It's interesting. It's nice to see Eurorack embrace stereo and really open up.
Yeah, well, I think that you said, the stereo filter that's the, so here we go. It's now, but now we're gonna start seeing stereo patch cords to try and condense the number of paths that we've got to put in there. Christ, imagine that.
Yeah. Constantine, who started the single malt synthesis hangouts with Heimbach, who I was with the past 3 days, said what he really wants, he loves MIDI, unlike maybe a lot of people that were watching that, who prefer patching voltages. He said what he wants to get into now, MIDI is on TRS jacks, is effectively just taking stereo cables and patching MIDI information because of the kind of weight of information a MIDI signal can carry. I'm not sure it will take off. Personally,
well,
it's kind of an
all you got to do is
idea.
call it MIDI 2.0, and then you're probably at least in with a chance. Who knows?
But yeah, to kind of sum up and answer your actual question, getting into these things, some of these new modules, getting back into video production for demos, and doing some more streams as well. Not as intense, but certainly adding some hangouts and kind of engaging with the community more. I think Bo was right to say that we can learn from this, that compared to other scenes and areas of content like gaming and other things, we're probably a bit behind generally. I know I am in terms of
I definitely
content.
argue that we are. Like, I've been arguing it for years. When I started with my channel, there weren't that much around, and I was really surprised. And I was also surprised at some of the feedback that I got on what I was doing, almost like people weren't used to it, like seeing an actual face. And that was really surprising to me, coming from, more of a, being very into tech in general and being very into YouTube and Twitch and gaming. So for me, that was kind of an epiphany, like, oh, wait, is this novel in some way or not the norm? And I still feel like we talked about like video quality and stuff like that, where we are, given that the technology is so readily available with smartphones, you can buy super cheap LED lights and stuff, all of this is very much remedied on a budget. And it
relatively speaking,
much.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, compared to, we talked when I interviewed you, Nick, like a year or two even ago, we talked about the fact when you started with Sonicstate, that, the headaches. And today, you can live stream from your phone with a 3G connection, and it actually holds up for the most part. So it's very interesting seeing this, seeing us a little bit catching up. I think that as a scene, if we talk like the hardware synth scene or music tech scene in general, I think there's a lot of things to explore, a lot of venues that we still haven't. For example, just we stream on YouTube, but streaming on YouTube is still seen as sort of a little bit more old school. Now we have Twitch, we have Mixer, so those platforms
it's where the audience is. That you go where the audience is. If you, because it takes a lot of effort to maintain a social platform of any kind, and if you've got to then do it multiples of times, it's hard enough doing YouTube and Facebook, let alone all the rest. I think one thing I'd like to add is, we've all, maybe what we'll also all realise, because we all shoot our own reviews and stuff in a structured way, generally speaking. But one thing that we've been doing here ever since I've been able to is to be able to switch cameras on the fly. So you just basically do it as real time as you possibly can. It saves so much time and effort.
Definitely.
I don't know about all of you guys, but maybe the more doing more real time streaming stuff is helping you kind of maybe appreciate that more and be able to use that in other stuff that doesn't have to be live stream, because switching is the answer in my Robin.
It cuts out those 2 days of editing afterwards. But unfortunately, my mode of speak is very and so post production works for me in that regard to make me look reasonably slick. But I'm learning.
Yeah, well, it's a muscle. It's muscle memory, I think.
I've actually started using real-time switching a bit more. I was introduced to it by one of the guys who were organizing the Thomann Synth Reactor last year. And he just talked very passionately about how it speeds up the workflow. So I have a little Roland video mixer that I use for live streams. So I can do like 3 camera angles.
Is that the VR one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is that is the, out of all, because we've had 2 feeds from a VR1 and they both look absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's a bit more expensive.
There's the cheaper like Blackmagic one, the ATEM Mini, which is like sold out everywhere apparently, which is super good value for the money. But the Roland is like a little bit more sturdy, It's definitely have a more professional feel to it. But and I've actually used it for a few videos. I don't think people can tell that easily. Where I just I totally agree, because it's like you just decide, okay, so yeah, now I'm going to talk about this. Press one button, you get that camera angle. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this. Press that button, and it does speed up. Then I go in and just cut it.
You just edit. It's like editing. It's like editing the 2-track master, effectively. I mean, that's what we've been doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
So totally, that's one way to do it, and of course, when we talk like live switching, there's always a cost associated with it, of course, to get the hardware working, and you need clean HDMI feeds from the cameras and stuff. But yeah, I think in general, it's really cool seeing that people are like upping their video game and using these platforms. And I think also something to just mention is that for anybody listening who's into the whole performing live, some like Colin Benders, I know he streams, and you guys on Sonic stream to multiple platforms. I think it works for certain types of shows that are structured, like scheduled stuff. But I don't think you need to stress about being on every platform. I think it's more so to understand what platform works for you and where your particular audience is, which I think is part of it.
Sorry.
Joyous bell. I think someone's at the door, Robin. Either that or our time's up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, some more cables have just arrived.
Yeah, that was like
I'm always getting deliveries of cables.
Yeah, why not? I don't think you've got quite enough cables there.
No, I always need new cables.
But yeah, well said, Bo. I mean, and I think, everybody's going to start doing it. Now we're going to have to up our game again to try and stay ahead, because like I say, we've been doing it that way for quite a while now, and all our workflow has been designed for one person to be able to shoot a multi-camera review with remote control. I mean, that's, I want robots. That's what I want. I want robotic cameras that I can program moves into that don't cost £1 million and aren't like Terminator and are likely to,
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Behringer to make that one for us. So.
Well, maybe they will. They could do something actually, utilitarian and useful and kind of interesting there. I mean, they're doing their own thing. That's fine, which we haven't actually spoken to them about there. Good work for keep bringing the B word in, as we say. But nobody's got. I haven't got anything against it. I just, they get enough publicity. I don't need to give them any more.
No, I was thinking of joking that my favorite news from Superbooth Stay at Home was the Behringer teaser, but yeah,
that was today.
I
wasn't
saw
it?
that people were a bit annoyed with that one. It had a pretty nice like to dislike ratio.
Oh, that's a shame. Never mind. I'm sure they can cope.
It's just
they can cope. Well, look, guys, I think we're because I need to wrap, because I've got a scanner coming on the line in an hour, and I need to do some prep, and I've got some more videos to upload. But it's been lovely to have you, Ben. Thank you so much for joining us and getting your. And now you've got your proper mic. When you come back on Sonic Talk, we can have you in proper quality, because you've always been on a room mic. So now
I've been poor in the past, and I stopped live streaming for a long time. For me, the biggest kick with this isolation was, oh God, I used to stream loads. Granted, not in great quality at all. I'm not going to hide that, but yeah, I've kind of sorted it out thanks to chats with Bo and yourself in the past. So yeah, thanks for having us on. Thanks to everyone for all the content. Bo and Robin as well have been enjoying that, and I think there's probably lots more to come in these coming weeks.
There certainly is. I think we've got, I don't know, 20 or 30 videos left. I can't remember now. And also Mr. Robin Vincent, Molten Music Technology, and obviously Gear News. Keep up the great work, and we'll keep an eye out for your content as well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Nick. That's been super. Lots more to come.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can always come back. You've proved that you can be on without getting the lawyers involved. Then you've passed the test.
No embarrassing doorbells. I better go and get that.
Yeah. All right, and Mr. BoBeats, thank you very much as well for joining us, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more from you over the coming days, weeks, and months. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So at this point, we go to the celebrity squares waving into the sunshine shot. Do stay tuned for more Superbooth stuff, and I'm going to hit the end button, which means it's like, oh, we could do that. Oh, yeah, or not. Anyway, see you all. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Bye-bye.
you.